I can't think of a single conversation that I've had in the past few weeks where the subject of money has not come up. It is on everybody's minds. And as I've been having these conversations, I've thought to myself, well, what can I possibly offer you during these times? Because it's very unusual circumstances that most of us have never seen in our lifetime. So I've thought of 4 things that I can offer you. I've got one thing that I think one should never do when it comes to your money. And then I've got 3 things that I think are always a good idea when it comes to your money. First, let's hit the never. Never make financial decisions out of fear. Now, fear is a natural response. What fear does is it wakes us up. It puts us on high alert. It tells us, hey, look, something's happening. You need to watch out. But what can happen when we make financial decisions out of fear is we can do really extreme things, and then we can regret them. So instead of reacting immediately, it's time to stop and do an assessment. Listen to that message of fear, but don't immediately respond. Take a moment to think. Now I've got 3 always for you. These are 3 things that I think it's always a good idea to do with your money, no matter what's going on with the world. Here's the first always. It is always a good idea to know how much money you have, where it's invested, and what you can do with that money. And it's really interesting because I'm a person who likes to know exactly how much money I have all the time. But what I've found over the years is that a lot of people don't want to know how much money they have, particularly when it comes to investments, money that you've set aside for long term. And I usually hear 2 reasons why people don't want to know. One reason is some people don't want to know how much money they have put away because they're afraid if they know, they'll be tempted to spend it. And then another reason I hear is people don't want to know how much they have invested because they're afraid that whatever that number is, they're going to feel like it's not enough, and they'll worry about their future. But let me tell you, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance can be dangerous. And especially right now, with all the volatility going on in the world financially, you need to know where your money is. If you already know where it is, then go ahead and pat yourself on the back. If you don't, I want you to look right after this video and find out how much money you have in your accounts, how they're invested, and what the rules are around them. And what I mean by that is some of those might be retirement accounts that you can only take out at a certain age, or there's penalties. Other accounts you can move in certain ways. So find out all the information so that if you want to make changes, you'll have the ability to do it quickly. You won't have to do your research and know where your money is. You will know and you'll be able to respond quickly. Now here's my second always. It's always a good idea to make logical financial decisions. You know, I was just reading this week that people are doing doom spending. Have you read this? Have you heard this? I'm going to pull this up for you. I was looking at this article on creditcards.com, and it had to do with this idea of doom spending. And it was really interesting to me because what I read is that 1 in 5 Americans, so about 20%, are doom spending. They're purchasing items excessively or impulsively in response to fear or anxiety about future events. Now, that didn't surprise me at all because it's a natural human response. When we sense danger, we think, what can I do to help prevent that danger? Or what can I do to respond to that danger? But what was particularly interesting to me is that I read down here is that 1 in 4 people who are doing this doom spending plan to go into debt while they're doing that to secure those purchases. And that's a little disturbing because you think about, well, you spend that money on preparing yourself for the future, but if you're getting yourself into debt, you're actually just making your future worse. And it's really hard to know exactly what the future entails. Sometimes we think that we know, but we don't. And I can give you an example from my own life, and it's something from actually before inflation went up, before tariffs. Well, for years, probably about 20 years, I have worn the same type of sneaker. And it's not a secret, the type of sneaker, it's Asics. And I love Asics. I felt like they fit me like a glove. And so every time I knew a new pair, I would just go get the latest one. And a few years ago, I was at an Asics store and they had a sale. And I thought, you know what? I've been wearing these for 20 years. I should pick up several pairs. And I wasn't doing it really because of inflation. I just thought, well, I might as well just have these on my shelf and then it's one less thing to do. I don't have to shop for sneakers. And in fact, here's a pair of them, the Gel Venture, and I would just buy a new one every year. Well, so here I have all these brand new sneakers sitting on the shelf in my closet, right? And about a year ago, I noticed something. I was having foot pain. There was a couple things going on with my feet. But I noticed when I would take my shoes off at night that my feet felt like they'd been really tight. And I thought, this is weird. Why are my feet feeling like this? I mean, I've been wearing the same shoes for years. They haven't changed. What's wrong? And then this is a little embarrassing, but I had this aha moment where I realized, oh, I know what's going on. You see, a couple years ago, I put on some significant weight. And when I did, I bought all new clothes. No big deal. But I didn't realize that your feet can widen or get bigger when you gain weight. I don't know why I didn't realize this. I just didn't think of it, I guess. And so I realized these shoes are no longer working for me. And here I have brand new pairs sitting on the shelf. So I had to go out and buy a different type of sneaker. And it made me realize that even when you think that you know you will use something, I had no reason to disbelieve that I would change. I love the Asics. They fit like a glove. No reason to change. Something had happened. I gained weight. And I was thinking about this just this morning because the ink had run out in my printer. And I went and I replaced it. I always keep a spare. And I thought, let me go online and buy some. And of course, I'm thinking about the fact that the inflation's going up, up, up. And I'm thinking about the tariffs. How will this affect possibly ink availability and pricing in the future? So I thought, well, how many should I buy? And I thought about it for a little bit. And I thought, well, the reality is things dry out. I've had this experience. I remember some years ago, I bought 2 eyeliners, liquid eyeliners, and it was probably a buy one, get one free sale. And when it finally came time for me to use a second liquid eyeliner, guess what? It had dried out. And you've probably had this experience with something, whether it's with a paint or with a makeup item. And you know what? It was no good. And so today I said, well, I'll just buy 2 sets of inkjets because I don't want the ink to dry out because then I'm just wasting my money. So it's always a good idea to be logical about your spending. We certainly should listen to the fact that there is inflation. We certainly should listen to the fact that there is tariffs, but be wise in your decisions. Don't panic and do doom spending. Instead, be logical and think about what are the things I realistically will use? What are the things that are practical to have on the shelf? And what ways might my life change where it would be silly for me to stock up on things? For example, what if you move and then you have all these items you stocked up on? That's going to cost you money to move. So use your head. Don't change the way you've been doing things just because there's chaos going on in the world. Have that level of calm and think before you spend. And then that leads me to the final thing, the final always. Always listen to your gut. You know, right now out there, if you turn on any TV channel or if you watch anything on YouTube or any channel out there, you're going to hear a whole variety of different opinions. There are some people who are going to tell you, it's a great time to buy real estate. Quick, snatch it up. And somebody else is going to say, don't buy real estate. It's a terrible time to buy. And that's true about anything else, whether it's the stock market or any other investment. You're always going to hear all these different opinions. But at the end of the day, you have lived a lot of life. You have life experience. You know what is best for you. And I can say that in my life, and this is not just true about money, when I've listened to what somebody else has said that goes against the feeling in my gut, that voice in my head, I've always regretted it. So listen to your own wisdom because there is no one who knows your life better than you. So those are my never and always, and I'll recap them in just a moment. But I want you to invite you to do something right now. I bet you have ideas from your wisdom in life of things when it comes to money that you think, you know what? I would never do this again, or one should never do this. And I bet you also have things that you know from your experience that are always a good idea to do. So I want to invite you to write your never and always when it comes to money in the comment section. I want to hear what you have to say. And now I'll recap mine. Never make financial decisions without fear. It's always a good idea to know where your money is. It's also always a good idea to make logical financial decisions. And it's always a good idea to listen to your own voice above all others. If you found this video helpful today, I hope you'll click the like button. And I want to say, as always, thank you for spending time with me today.